Guys, it's happening.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
Even though only 3 players tested positive, the Tennessee Titans have a COVID-19 outbreak. And then over the weekend on Saturday, the day before all of the Sunday games, the Falcons actually had their first round rookie cornerback, AJ Terrell, test positive. And then after that, you've got the Falcons defense taking this social distancing thing a little bit too seriously. But in all seriousness, guys, if the MLB got through this, then so can the NFL. It is kind of worrisome, but they've got millions and billions of dollars tied up in this thing to make sure that this season happens. But we'll talk about all that stuff a little bit later. Let's get to the football, and we're jumping right into it. On Thursday night, we've got Broncos versus Jets, and somebody's got to win this game, right? The Broncos are clearly limited without their starting quarterback, which is pretty much to be expected for any NFL team, but you know things are dire when Blake Bortles is the sort of ace in their back pocket here. Brett Rypien is going to get the start this week over Jeff Driscoll, but this will probably be a 1-week test before giving Bortles a shot because Bortles' physical tools are at least superior to these 2 other options. The Jets, they might be worse than I thought though, which is saying something because I haven't given them as an organization a shred of credit this entire season. They are the only team in the league that hasn't held a lead at any point in a game so far. This is their best shot at least getting a lead in a game. It's not all doom and gloom though. Sam Darnold is coming off highlight plays in back-to-back weeks, so there's still something there, but I really don't think that Adam Gase is going to be the man to unleash it. I mean, look what happened to Tannehill right when he got away from Adam Gase and the Dolphins. So it's impossible to truly evaluate Darnold, but seeing it show up in moments like that means that there's still hope for him as the Jets guy. But it is October now, you know, spooky season, so there's potential for ghosts to be out. And it's a primetime game. I hope they don't have this poor guy mic'd up. Right now though, in the NFL, I think we're seeing the best coached teams in the league winning consistently, but health is still the biggest factor, and I don't think the quarterback production will be enough from the Broncos. Like I said, somebody's got to win this game, but I bet you these guys are rooting for a COVID takeover so they can live out the true meaning of the Jets just end the season, but I think they can pull this one out. Jets win 27-20. All right, real quick before we move on to these Sunday games, I want to inform you that there are still 2 Madden codes hidden within this video. And even if you are just here for the free Madden codes, please help me out by hitting that like button. The goal in these videos is always 1,000 likes. So if and when this video hits that goal, I will give someone in the comments a free code to Madden. Also, the wallpaper of the week last week was Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson himself for his performance against the Cowboys. I was able to get this done on Monday night during the Monday night game. If you haven't seen this already, you can download it either at TikTok. They're still having issues over there, and if you can't download it there, you can download the Jiffy app. I'll add a link to it down in the description and in the comments also for that, or you can just search NFLRT and find my page on Jiffy, download it as a live photo, and then set that photo as your wallpaper, and you'll have a sweet schedule hidden within a Russell Wilson wallpaper. All right, let's get back on track. Saints versus Lions. What a tough game to predict. The Saints are probably not as good as we thought coming into the season, and the Lions are probably not as bad as everyone thought. At least their win over the Cardinals was a respect earner for me. Drew Brees can still produce, but he is holding this offense back. I actually think that Matt Patricia can make Brees uncomfortable, but when Brees plays in a dome, he can usually find a way to get it done. This one's pretty much a toss-up for me, but I'm going to say Saints win 24-23. Chargers versus Buccaneers. The Justin Herbert era, or maybe this is just the prequel, whatever it is, there was something different about him this week, and this was kind of the concern with him as a draft prospect. I called him West Coast Daniel Jones last week, and it's because while on paper, they both seem to have every tool that you'd want from a prototype quarterback, but they both suffer from these swings in performances, and he's got a tough test this week. Pass defense has been kind of an epidemic in the NFL this year, but the Bucs have a really good pass defense, which is unique and greatly coveted right now in the league. It really just makes it even more confusing why Earl Thomas is unsigned this year. Kind of suggests to me that there's something else that we might not know about that might get revealed in some lame TMZ article down the road. You know, assuming that the headlines that he made this offseason weren't already enough to turn you off from signing him. But the Texans were looking at signing him, and something made him turn away from that offer, so maybe there's another team that he's more interested in playing for, showing a little interest. But anyways, back to the Buccaneers. I think their game plan last week of forcing the ball to Gronk was just unnecessary. Get this guy physically ready for the playoffs. You can tell that he's not physically where he needs to be because those skinny legs he's got going on right now, they're not even going to hold up if you're forcing it to him each week. Keep your old guys healthy and make it to the playoffs. Either way, I think that the Buccaneers defense is going to be too much for Justin Herbert to overcome. Who knows which version of him that we get. So I think that the Bucs win 28-17. Jaguars versus Bengals. Can somebody please tell me How do you get embarrassed at home on Thursday Night Football to the Dolphins like that? Well, it turns out that Gardner Minshew isn't very good when the crossing routes get taken away. He looked rattled on Thursday Night Football, and I can't believe I even entertained the idea of the Jaguars passing on Trevor Lawrence if they had the chance for even a minute. On a more positive note, the Bengals tied the Eagles, but I'm not really sure if that's a result to be proud of. I mean, they didn't lose, so there's that, but this is just a very hard game to predict. The Jaguars, though, they are super well rested coming off of that Thursday Night Football game with a few extra days to rest, and the Bengals, they just played an entire extra quarter of football. So I'm going to go against the home team here and take a bad team on the road. Lord help me. Jaguars win 23-20. Vikings versus Texans. The Vikings let some sketch characters into their house, and now they've got to wait and make sure nobody contracted COVID during their game with the Titans. What a time to be alive, folks. On a brighter note, the Vikings are coming off of their best game of the season, but they still lost. At least offensively, they looked a lot better. Coming into that game, Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook were the only touchdown scorers for the Vikings, and I think that Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, they need to continue to get the offense flowing through their other weapons. So Justin Jefferson and Kyle Rudolph, they were both able to score a touchdown this week, but Jefferson getting involved in this offense now could be a game changer, or it's more likely that you're going to see those highs and those lows with Kirk Cousins, because that's what you're going to get with Kirk. Low-key, I think that Kirk Cousins' contract is one of the worst moves of the offseason, not even because I think he's going to play like he did in the first 2 weeks for the rest of the season, but because I think that Kirk Cousins was at his best under the pressure of those franchise tags while in the Redskins. By giving him that extra contract and locking him up for another couple years, he took away that lame duck status, and like he said when he was asked about wearing a mask, if he dies, he dies. He's a very easygoing guy, almost too easygoing for my liking. I want a little bit more fire in the belly of my franchise quarterback. He won't have to look far to see what that looks like this week, because with the Texans, Deshaun Watson has got that fire. What I want to know is if Deshaun Watson is truly healthy. I mean, he took some major hits as per usual last week, and I'm sure there's some aches and pains here, but this is a must win for the Texans, and I think that Deshaun Watson is going to put the team on his back against a terrible defense. Light it up on the scoreboard. Texans win 35-24. Seahawks versus Dolphins. Even though they're finally letting Russ cook, I know that Pete Carroll probably can't sleep at night because of this defense, but this is just the result of letting Russ cook. Losing Jamal Adams is going to hurt this defense, and they're already struggling to stop a nosebleed, and the pass rush is really poor. They were using Jamal Adams a lot as a blitzer, but everybody should just relax, let this man sling it towards a long overdue MVP season. You can adjust the game plan accordingly once the playoffs are here and focus on a more run-centric game plan if you want, but take advantage of the defensive depth that's going to be stretched as thinly as ever this season. On the other side, the Dolphins, they put on a show on Thursday Night Football. I was trashing the Jaguars for their performance, but I've got to give credit where it's due. The Dolphins defense was showing shades of Bill Belichick with their blitzing and really confused Gardner Minshew, but I don't think that's going to work against Russell Wilson. The only difference in the NFL MVP race, I think, through the first 3 weeks and why I'm so set on giving it to Russell Wilson and barring a collapse in performances, I think that the difference between him and Mahomes is the talent and coaching advantage that Mahomes has around him. I mean, the Seahawks coaching staff literally had to be bullied by Twitter to open up the playbook for a generational quarterback, while Andy Reid's over here drawing up new passing plays in his barbecue sauce while he eats dinner. Anyways, as far as this week goes, Pete Carroll somehow always has his boys ready for these East Coast games, so I think the Seahawks win 29-21. Steelers versus Titans. Man, I had a whole thing written up for this matchup of AFC contenders, but now the story is all about the positive COVID cases. This game might get canceled, it might get moved to Monday, might get moved to Tuesday. The NBA Finals are on Tuesday, so that's going to be kind of a ratings war. I don't really know even what an extra day or two does for you, but if it goes on Tuesday, then it starts to also affect the preparation for the following game too. The Titans are already having to prepare for this Steelers game virtually, while the Steelers get to maintain their consistency in prep. It's going to be really interesting to see how this stuff impacts the game. It was already going to be a tough matchup for the Titans, who have been playing with fire during the course of these games, but you can't argue with being 3-0. And the Steven Gostkowski redemption story is cool. It's a good lesson for our overreactive society, and part of what makes Mike Vrabel a good head coach by sticking with his kicker. But Mike Tomlin's a good head coach too, and his defense is top 5 in the league, and that's being conservative. They might be the best in the league. I'll be really impressed if the Titans pull this off. The cards are just too stacked against them right now, and they've already used up a lot of luck this season in these first 3 wins, so I'm going to say that the Steelers win 23-17. Browns versus Cowboys. The Browns might have the best backfield in the NFL. Actually, no, they definitely do, by far. This is a run-first offense, and I love the LSU wide receiver duo. I want to see them thrive in their reunion, but you can't get away from the run game to appease them. The question is, can Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry take a backseat in the game plan? Let me know what you guys think. I do know that the sky is falling for much of my fellow members of Cowboys Nation, and you all need to relax. This has been a sloppy start, but it is a long season, and with the state of the NFC East, it's pretty clear the Cowboys are the best team in the dumpster fire of choices here. They're still good enough to lose a divisional playoff game. Defense looks pretty bad, and not the type of bad you expect as a result of the offense scoring too many points and putting you back on the field too many times. Last week they got really exposed by Russell Wilson with blown coverages, and I'll credit it to the installation of a new defense if they're able to turn things around. But imagine thinking that this unit was better off without Clinton Dix on it. I mentioned Earl Thomas earlier, and this is still the ideal fit I think for both parties and would make this defense a much more organized unit. But the Cowboys offense is a juggernaut up there with any other unit in the league except for maybe the Chiefs, and they showed that this week against the Seahawks. They also might have found something in their offensive line with Zach Martin playing right tackle where he looked like a rejuvenated monster, and then the rookie Tyler Biadasz playing center. Tyron Smith might come back this week, and all of a sudden Cowboys offensive line is looking fresh and revamped. Look for Zeke to have a bounce back game after one of the worst 2-game stretches of his career. Cowboys win 33-21. Cardinals versus Panthers. I was wrong on both of these teams last week. I think they were both in trap games for the home team and got caught off guard a little bit. Kyler didn't look as good as he has in the previous few weeks, but I think that things will correct themselves this week and the Cardinals get back on track. Cardinals win 28-20. Colts at Bears. I was a week off with the Xavier Rhodes pick 6 prediction. I gotta say that would have been really fun to nail. But the Colts, they finally showed us what we all thought they'd be able to do coming into this season. Phillip Rivers wasn't brought in to be a gunslinger. You just needed him to be able to make the smart plays when you need them, and it helps when you play a shitty team like the Jets. On the other side, the Bears are 3-0 and now have a new quarterback. It's not often that an undefeated team benches their starting quarterback, but I do think that this could be a game changer for the Bears passing game, at least for a few weeks, you know. Nick Foles, he always offers a nice jump start, but we've seen defenses catch up with him everywhere he's been. Also, the injuries are always a concern with him, so I kind of have a feeling that we haven't seen the last of Trubisky as the Bears quarterback, and as much as I've criticized him, I could see this being a very humbling experience for him, and a matured version of him could eventually become a Ryan Tannehill for someone else. The legendary Eagles duo of Frank Reich and Nick Foles will be facing off this week, and I think that the experienced coaching Foles will provide Frank Reich with the knowledge his defense is going to need to be able to slow him down and give him fits. This is my upset special of the week. Actually, I don't think I've actually flat out called an upset special all season, and yet I've picked against the Bears, I'm pretty sure, every single week. I'm sure that Bears fans will end up being like the 49ers fans last year in the comments, you know, always doubting us, but I don't know what to tell you. Got a weirdly built team with a subpar head coach. Colts win 24-20. The Ravens at the Washington football team. The Ravens were completely shell-shocked by the Chiefs. What a wake-up call for them. They're going to need to sharpen up over the rest of the season because I have a feeling that's not the last time they're going to see the Chiefs. They were playing kind of cute to start the game as if they also expected to see them later in the playoffs, but they were caught off guard by the baby goat Mahomes. Now it's time for the Battle of the Beltway. As a DMV resident, this is one of the cooler rivalries in the league for me, even though this matchup is mostly between the fans because these teams hardly ever actually get to play a regular season game. This summer I actually realigned the NFL divisions, and these two teams were in a division with the two Pennsylvania teams, the Eagles and the Steelers. Shameless plug, but you should go check that out after this because this one feels pretty easy. Ravens win 30-16. Giants versus Rams. So the Rams game last week against the Bills was a questionable one. Fatigue was definitely an issue in the first half, but they woke up in the second half and caught the Bills sleeping and made that infamous 28-3 comeback. They deserved the win. I'll admit, they got a little bit robbed there at the end, but it's just the circle of life with bad calls. You win some, you lose some. The Rams had a call in their favor earlier in that game that was a little bit questionable, but come on, Rams fans. You guys went to the Super Bowl on one of the worst referee judgments we've ever seen. Shake it off. It's a get-right week with one of the worst teams in the league coming to town. Rams win this one easy, 35-17. Patriots versus Chiefs. Another tough one against another AFC contender for the Chiefs. I always give Bill Belichick credit for his ability to slow down young quarterbacks, and he's fared actually pretty well against Patrick Mahomes so far in his young career, almost too well. Mahomes came out as an underdog against the Ravens and shredded what we all thought was a good defense, so I kind of expect him to do it again. I told you guys at the beginning of the year that if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl again this year, something went horribly wrong, like knock on wood, an injury or a COVID outbreak, if not worse. But I'm not picking against them for a while. I think I've learned my lesson. Chiefs win this one 28-24. Bills versus Raiders. The Bills got blessed with one, like I mentioned earlier, but at least Josh Allen looked really good again. The Bills as a whole looked dominant for an entire half against one of the better NFC teams that we've seen so far this year. And the Raiders, they had their comeback to earth moment. Bill Belichick exposed Derek Carr, and I bet we see a decline in his production in the upcoming weeks. Belichick eliminated Darren Waller, double teamed the checkdowns, and Derek Carr just didn't know what to do. I've never seen anything like it. This Bills defense has the personnel to give Carr fits, but he's typically a better quarterback at home. Let's see if this new stadium has the same impact on his performance as the Black Hole. I'm banking on the Bills defense traveling. Bills win 24-17. All right, and we've got a couple of strange matchups for prime time this week. On Sunday Night Football, we've got Eagles versus 49ers. I got a question before we get started. Where was Al Michaels last week? They had Mike Tirico in New Orleans doing the Packers game, and I heard a rumor that there's some sort of contract dispute. I don't know, it was just very weird to not see him or not have it really mentioned at all either. So we'll see if he shows up this week. Another guy that needs to show up is Carson Wentz. This guy, and I mean this with all due respect, he really is a bit of a cockroach. Carson Wentz is now up to 51 fumbles and 40 interceptions in 59 career games. Yet somehow at the end of that Bengals game, he made the plays to what I thought win the game, but somehow the Eagles managed to throw it away and tie a much less talented team. I would like to know personally, are Eagles fans over Wentz yet, or are they still blindly saying that he's better than Dak Prescott? And do we really think that Doug Peterson is as good of a coach as we originally thought? Or is it Frank Reich that deserves most of the Super Bowl credit here in Philadelphia? I don't know. This whole Eagles team is collapsing in the most confusing way, despite still possessing the foundation of a Super Bowl roster. Now they have to take on the 49ers, who also have a Super Bowl roster, but they are completely depleted from injuries. But Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches for times when you need to weather a storm like this. The 49ers have got one of the deepest talent pools in the league, and their roster is well built, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here. 49ers win 26-23. And then on Monday Night Football, another strange matchup of bad team on the road versus good team at home with the Falcons versus the Packers. It's easy to slam the Packers for this historically bad start to the season, and if the Falcons blow another game, I don't see how Dan Quinn can continue to keep his job, but Arthur Blank's probably too nice of a guy, and it's more likely that they hold on to Dan Quinn and go on a run late in the season just in time to ruin their draft stock, but too late to actually make the playoffs. Seems to be their MO here lately. For this week, if Julio Jones is out again, I don't see how the Falcons can overcome the Packers, who seem like a much scarier team than the 13-win version from last year. The offense seems to be picking up Matt LaFleur's system a lot better in its second year. The defense is still a little bit suspect, and that's why I think it'll be yet another high-scoring game. It has the potential to be a lot of fun, but in the end, I think that the Packers still win 35-28. All right, now let's recap week 3 in the Pick'em group. We had 2 people tied at the top with 13 picks correct. One named Shitko, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, and Sad Browns Fan. Congrats on leading the group this week, guys. And shout out to Sad Browns Fan for the name of the week. And then we shift towards the overall leader. Remember, the lowest week is dropped, but I have disabled that for these graphics because unless you're an idiot like myself, you probably have not already missed a week of entries. And we do have an overall leader right now with 39 total points, Mr. David 2. In second, we've got Quebec Steelers. Shout out to Canada. I might be moving up there this fall. That is definitely a joke. Hopefully I don't actually have to. But if you want to join this Pick'em group, there's a link in the description and the pinned comment. We are on the ESPN app. We'd love to have you. We got over 400 people in here already, and we are one of the top ranked groups on ESPN. And the ranks are actually by the average scored points, not just how many people are in there. So not only are we over 400 deep, but we know what we're talking about. So hey, shout out us. That's going to do it for me this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video.